The way we run this session, it's an Oxford-style debate. Anthony Corty from Clifton is going to present the House view, which is that the future of retirement advice is income drawdown. Emma Watkins from Scottish Widows is going to present the opposing view in favour of guaranteed income. We'd like to take a vote before, and we'll also take a vote after. So get your votes in. Right, so the winner gets pride. They're the ones who win the final vote. Get over 50% of the votes if that wasn't clear. Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. The dinosaur tale. Right, the stakes are high. Can we get the votes so far up on the screen? Oh, it's there. Fantastic. Great. Right. Anthony, no pressure. 63% are in favour of what he said. Anthony Corty from Clifton. Thank you.
Afternoon, everyone. Firstly, a special thank you to Heather for giving me the opportunity to endure weeks of sleepless nights preparing for this debate. Not only that, but I've tried to build a reasonable level of professional credibility over the last 30 years or so in financial services, and Heather's given me the unique opportunity to flush whatever credibility I do have down the loo in no more than 13 minutes. So thank you for that. Talking of which, 13 minutes is clearly a huge subject. It's actually not as binary, of course, as the debate is framed. And it could be addressed from numerous angles. But given the time, I'm simply going to come at this from a hearts and minds perspective, as opposed to addressing the reasons why we're having this debate in the first place. Probably a combination of the FCA retirement outcome review, recent budget changes, and increasing annuity rates of late. Neither, you'll be pleased to hear, will I be bombarding you with fabulous charts showing squiggly lines that go from bottom left to top right. So I stand before you today to champion a solution I firmly believe still remains the future of retirement planning in the UK, and that, of course, is income drawdown. Now, I know what you're all thinking. A directive of a firm that provides financial planning, a SIP provider, a platform provider, a DFM, recently PAP-backed with a focus on vertical integration, no conflicts of interest whatsoever, nothing to see here. But we're going to put that aside and talk about why income drawdown isn't just a good option. It's likely still to be the go-to option for most clients when entering retirement. Before we dive in, let's take a quick trip down memory lane. Not too long ago, retirement meant one thing. You reached a certain age, stopped working, took out an annuity, and you absolutely had to by the age of 75, and that was it. No flexibility, no choice, no control, just a fixed income for life. But times have changed. Retirement today is different. People are living longer, working later, and their financial needs in later life are more dynamic than ever. And that's where income drawdown comes in. It's not just an alternative to annuities. It still remains the modern, flexible, and forward-thinking approach to retirement. So let's start talking about why income drawdown is still the future of retirement planning in the UK, despite Rachel Reeves' best efforts. I want to highlight three core reasons. One, flexibility, just because life doesn't stand still. Income drawdown puts retirees in the driving seat, giving them control over their income and allowing them to tailor withdrawals to fit their personal needs. Unlike annuities, which are locked in tighter than my embarrassing stories at family gatherings, income drawdown adapts to real life. Need more money for a dream holiday? Want to reduce withdrawals due to an inheritance? Have an unexpected expense? With income drawdown, you can just adjust. And let's be honest, who wants to commit to a rigid income plan at 60 or 65 when we don't even know what our spending habits will be at 75, 85, or beyond? Annuities are the financial equivalent of blockbuster video. Now, actually, I wrote that, and there are some younger members of the audience I've noticed. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, come and see me afterwards. So, blockbuster video, a system that worked in the past but failed to evolve. Meanwhile, income drawdown is Netflix, modern, adaptable, designed for how people actually live today. Secondly, adaptability, because retirement isn't one size fits all. The world's changing fast. Retirement is no longer a straight line from work to a life of slippers and early bedtimes. People want choice. Some work part-time, some travel, some start businesses. Retirement today looks more like a winding road with twists, turns, and unexpected opportunities. Income drawdown matches that reality. It allows retirees to adjust their withdrawals to fit their circumstances, whether it's covering unplanned medical bills, helping out with the grandchildren's school, university bills, or funding a gap year at 70. I mean, why should 18-year-olds have all the fun? Annuities, on the other hand, don't change. Once you've signed up, that's it. No changes, no flexibility, no chance to adapt. Imagine trying to fit into a pair of jeans you bought 5 years ago. It's just not going to work. Well, not in my case anyway. Third, tax efficiency and growth, because more money is better than less. Let's talk about the numbers. Income drawdown has a massive edge when it comes to tax efficiency and investment growth. Retirees can strategically withdraw money, minimizing tax liabilities, keeping their pension pot working for them. With an annuity, your money is taken out of the market permanently, generally speaking. Even if you live for 40 years after retirement, your income won't change based on market performance. No growth, no opportunity, just a fixed paycheck forever. But with income drawdown, your pension pot remains invested, meaning it can continue to grow, like putting your savings in the gym and letting them build muscle rather than locking them in the cupboard and hoping they somehow get fitter on their own. Even escalating annuities, which attempt to account for inflation, require you to sacrifice a significant amount of initial income, forcing you to live long enough to claw back that lost value. Now, if that's not a gamble, I don't know what is. The future is clear. Let's not forget the generational shift in attitudes towards retirement. I mean, the cat is out of the bag. Millennials and Gen Z won't settle for old school models. They want flexibility, control, and financial autonomy. The traditional retirement methods of the past just simply do not fit the bill anymore. Does the data back all of this up? FCA data for the 12 months ending Q1 24 in respect of individuals accessing their pensions for the first time showed that, despite dramatically improved annuity rates, the number of drawdown plans outnumbered annuities by 10 times for pots over 250,000, 3.5 times for pots between 100 and 250,000. Now, 2024 saw annuity transactions reach a 10-year high, with sales rising by 24% to just shy of 90,000, according to the ABI. And this is great news for later life retirees or those with smaller pots who can now opt for far better returns. But I would take an educated guess, and it's only a guess because the data isn't yet available, that drawdown statistics remain as strong as ever for those accessing benefits for the first time. So in summary, income drawdown is flexible, allowing retirees to adapt their income as life changes. It provides opportunities for investment growth, ensuring that pension pots keep working for people, and it aligns with modern retirement lifestyles, giving people control over their financial futures. This isn't just about what works today, it's about what works for the future. And the future of retirement planning still belongs to income drawdown. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Anthony. Emma Watkins for the opposing view.
Thank you very much. This is not nerve-wracking at all. So, firstly, Heather, thank you very much for inviting me. When my good friend Rose suggested that I might want to do this, I didn't really think through the ramifications of what I was signing up to. So I look after retirement for Scottish widows, I look after drawdown and annuities, and so actually I am doing today what I tell my kids I will never do. I am declaring my favourite child. Just don't tell drawdown, please. So, ladies and gentlemen, whilst this House believes that the future of retirement income is income drawdown, I, on the other side, oppose this motion. I believe that annuities have a place in most, if not all, future retirement portfolios to provide a guaranteed income for life. I am not going to try and persuade you that this has always been the case. In the abnormally low interest rates of latter years, where annuities were less compelling, it was definitely a harder argument to make. But as we reach a new normal in terms of rates, I think that's genuinely changing. And people are clearly telling us that in retirement, financial security is paramount. In a decumulation research report that we did recently, 79% of people we surveyed said they wanted a guaranteed income in retirement, yet only 6% took an annuity, with the majority of retirees choosing income drawdown. Now, you might believe I'm actually arguing in favour of Anthony's argument, but quite the opposite. They want security, they want a guarantee, and yet we're selling them income drawdown, which is an approach that leaves them vulnerable to market crashes, economic downturns, and longevity risk. So if we really want to help customers achieve what they want, that needs to change, particularly as the dependency on defined contribution increases and defined benefit falls away. And I'd say recent trends seem to back this. In 2024, Anthony, as you kindly said, annuity cases increased by 24%, actually by a measure of premium that was up 34%, and perhaps even more compelling, since Q1 2022, the number of advisor firms, you guys in the room, actively writing annuities has increased by over 200% to approximately 1,200 firms in the start of 2024 from less than 300 at the beginning of 2022. But today, I'm going to focus my argument that annuities have a place in retirement portfolios because they provide three essential benefits. Anthony, it's almost like we planned this before, the power of three. Certainty, stability, and security. So on certainty, individuals on the whole like certainty. 95% of people in employment in the UK are in permanent positions versus 5% in temporary employment. And what I mean by that is contracting, casual, seasonal work. Suggesting to me, at least, that as a population, we like certainty in our working lives. So why would we assume then that that would change in retirement, a time when we have reduced capacity to deal with shocks? So, an annuity, as I'm sure you all know, is a product that converts your pension pot into a guaranteed regular income for the rest of your life, no matter how long you live. With a pension annuity, you will always know exactly how much you're getting, come rain or shine. And unlike drawdown, annuities ensure that a retiree never runs out of money. And annuities are a great way to cover essential expenditure. They provide that predictable retirement income stream which can help with budgeting and financial planning in retirement. And this stability is particularly valuable in an environment where investment returns can be volatile and people are living longer, much like we're seeing today. But I would argue that annuities are often misunderstood, with some believing that annuities aren't suitable for those with health issues, that they don't keep pace with inflation, or they don't provide for wealth transfer. But contrary to those beliefs, enhanced annuities do provide higher income payments for those individuals with health issues or lifestyle factors that reduce life expectancy, allowing those individuals to benefit from their arguably unfortunate circumstances. Inflation-linked annuities automatically increase payouts over time, ensuring retirees maintain their purchasing power. In contrast, retirees using drawdown must actively adjust their withdrawal rates, if indeed they can, and investment strategy to try and combat inflation. Yet another layer of financial complexity with no guarantee of success. And the common argument that annuities don't allow for wealth transfer is just not accurate. Joint life annuities ensure that an income continues for a spouse's lifetime, and many annuities offer guarantee periods, ensuring payments can go to heirs if the retiree dies early. By contrast, in drawdown, a surviving spouse may be left to manage any remaining investment portfolio alone, often without the financial expertise to do so effectively, or potentially the available income to pay a financial expert to help. Stability. Annuity provides protection from investment risk and longevity improvements. I would argue that retirement is no time to take financial gambles with the savings that you have explicitly set aside to provide an income in retirement. On investments, with an annuity, the insurance company is taking all of the risk and offering a stable income in return, while drawdown exposes that individual to unpredictable investment returns, including, of course, the risk that the capital value can go down as well as up. Drawdown forces retirees to make ongoing choices around withdrawal rates, asset allocation, and risk management, which can lead to a number of things. An individual overspending, effectively withdrawing too much money too soon and running out of money,
and individual underspending, with a fear of running out of money leading to excessive caution and a reduced quality of life. Or indeed market timing mistakes. In other words, selling investments at the wrong time due to need or panic during market downturns. The 2008 financial crash devastated retirement portfolios. And even today, we're seeing market volatility caused by the current geopolitical environment, with Trump seeming to not let truth get in the way of a good, or arguably even a bad, story. A retiree depending on drawdown at the wrong time could suffer losses that they just have no capacity to deal with. Betting your hard-earned retirement savings on market performance when you have no ability to make good is arguably reckless. In contrast, an annuity continues to pay out each month under the watchful eye of the Prudential Regulatory Authority and the Financial Conduct Authority, whose job it is to make sure that insurers are stable and resilient, with enough capital to manage those risks and ultimately protect consumers. And of course, that includes the protection available by the FSCS. And annuities provide protection, as I said before, against living longer than expected. In fact, it's a fact that people living longer and that people don't know when they're going to die, right? So we all know death is certain. I know it's a bit morbid, but we all know death is certain, but we don't know when we're going to die. Drawdown, even when managed by the experts in this room, relies on an accurate estimate of longevity. And a recent survey showed that people in their 50s and 60s, some at the lower end of that, but still definitely in that bracket, on average underestimate their life expectancy by over 5 years. So they expect to die much sooner than they're actually dying. And some really interesting statistics include people in their 60s underestimating survival to age 75, so only 15 years hence, by around 25 to 30%, and individuals in their early 70s underestimating their survival to age 85 by 15 to 20%. That's roughly 1 in 4 people getting it wrong and running out of money at a point in time where they are not old or secure enough to be able to cope with that. And then finally, security or peace of mind. Within annuities, retirees can enjoy life without constantly worrying about making those complex investment decisions or ensuring withdrawals will last for an unknown period of time. Most retirees are not financial experts, and they'll likely struggle with those complex investment decisions. Auto-enrollment has been such a success because it's relied on inertia and an understanding that individuals are not financial experts. But Drawdown expects those same individuals to become financial experts overnight when they've never been required to, and at a time when they're arguably least well equipped. Managing investments and withdrawals requires financial literacy and constant monitoring. And yet, retirees, as they grow older, increase the risk of making those mistakes. MAS shows that those over 75 and over have considerably lower financial competency. For example, only half are able to calculate the effects of interest and inflation. And the number of people with dementia in the UK is sadly set to double from 2025 to 2050. Moreover, the confidence an individual can gain from the certainty of an annuity income, like the peace of mind many homeowners gain from paying off a mortgage, may be worth more than a simple computation of investment return would indicate. So I would argue, Drawdown opens you up to speculation, to risk, to stress. Annuities, on the other hand, provide certainty, stability, and security. And that's why I would urge you to support this counter motion.
Fantastic. Right, each of our debaters has 4 minutes for rebuttal. Anthony.
Career over. So let's just take a moment to reflect on what we just heard. Emma has spent her time eloquently telling us that income drawdown is too risky, too complex, too emotionally uncertain for retirees. She wants you to believe that people can't possibly handle a bit of flexibility in their financial planning. But let's be honest, do we really want a retirement strategy designed for a world that no longer exists? Because that's what exactly annuities are. they are a relic of the past. As I mentioned earlier, and I apologise again for this, annuities are the blockbuster video of retirement planning, designed for a time when life expectancy was shorter, pensions were generous, and people spent their golden years pottering around the garden rather than travelling the world or starting new businesses. And yet the opposition, Emma, is desperately clinging to them, hoping we won't notice that the world has moved on. Meanwhile, income drawdown is the Netflix of retirement, modern, flexible, designed to fit individual lifestyles. Retirees aren't all the same, so why should their retirement income be? Emma also claims that drawdown is too risky because retirees might run out of money. But what they fail to acknowledge is that income drawdown isn't an all-or-nothing system. Retirees can structure their drawdown responsibly, take sustainable withdrawals, and if needed, blend it with annuities later in life. If we look at the latest research from Fidelity, and the check's in the post because this just came out, if you'd retired 10 years ago with a £100,000 pension pot and withdrawn 4% each year, the fund today would be worth £189,000 if 100% had been invested in global equities. And, accepting that that's a pretty punchy asset allocation, if this had been 60% equities, 40% bonds, the return would have been £158,000. I mean, it's not like there's been much to worry about over the last 10 years. Brexit, Donald's first innings, COVID, raging inflation, Russia and Ukraine. It's a long list and it could go on. Let's not forget their argument around drawdown is too complex. I mean, look around us. We live in a world where even my 80-plus-year-old in-laws can stream a TV show on demand, use contactless payments, and book flights from the smartphones. Retirees are not wandering around confused, waiting for someone to explain how the internet works. So let's return to the House motion and some, well, I am generally. So let's return to the House motion and some audience self-reflection. If you believe that income drawdown will play a part regarding your initial retirement income needs, let alone those of our mutual clients, even if on a blended basis, then, ladies and gentlemen, you are in a voting cul-de-sac, and the motion simply has to be carried. And if not, no stress. My kids think I'm an old dinosaur anyway. Thanks very much.
Well done, well done. Emma, closing remarks.
Okay, I just have to say, I don't think I like my head being that big behind me. It's just not a good look. Anyway, my opponent, Anthony, claims that drawdown provides greater flexibility, allows retirees to keep control, and potentially leaves a legacy for a loved one. But Anthony's arguments are based on a flawed assumption that retirees are capable of managing their investments effectively through retirement in order to provide income and leave an inheritance, or that they can reduce their income during downturns to preserve capital. I know for certain that my parents can't reduce their drawdowns, right? They are dependent on that income. And at what cost does that flexibility really give people? Flexibility and the illusion of control is meaningless if it leads to poverty and financial ruin. Annuities are often misunderstood, and as an industry, we are at risk of perpetuating the misconceptions and objections that surround them. Within the industry, some argue that they are complex products with various features and options, but with the right support, they are eminently less complex than drawdown, as the focus of the decision-making is on outcome and the certainty of the outcome the individual wants, not how to manage it along the way. We say that annuities are a one-size-fits-all solution, but they are ultimately tailorable to the individual circumstances and requirements. Do you want to leave your dependent with a pension when you pass on? Do you want to insure against dying early? Those are outcomes that are easily understandable by the customer, by the consumer, and absolutely guaranteed to be achieved with an annuity. And whilst it's true that annuities don't leave a large legacy, the primary goal of retirement planning for most is to secure one's financial well-being, not to prioritise legacy over livelihood. We accuse annuities of being expensive, and some make allegations that insurance companies can benefit from excessive profit taken from individuals' hard-earned savings. But these allegations are massively misleading and more than a little dangerous.
To allow people to understand the value that the certainty of an annuity provides, we need to help individuals just understand how long they might have to make their pension pot last in later life and what return they could get on their investments, as per Anthony's argument, versus the risk that they are taking on. When the state pension was first introduced, people were only expected to live another 9 years on average. Today, post-retirement, state retirement age, we expect to live for another 21 years or more. And even if we take average life expectancy to base how long we need to make our savings last in order to manage our income drawdown, we have to understand that's just an average longevity expectation. Men in 2024 can expect to live to the grand old age of 88. I'm sure you're all very pleased about that. But have a 1 in 4 chance of living to 98. And for women, it's 91 years with a 1 in 4 chance of living to 99. 1 in 4 chance of living another 10 years, and you may already have spent all of your income from your drawdown. So if considered in the round, I think individuals would understand that annuities aren't costly. The pricing actually benefits from investing in higher risk illiquid assets, matching those promises being made and managed by experts, and the pooling of longevity risk, both of which just aren't available to the individual. Rather, they are the fair price of securing a guaranteed income for life as tested under the FCA regime of treating customers fairly and consumer duty. Moreover, you don't have to buy an annuity at a set point in time. This is not a dictated purchase in the same way as it was before pensions freedoms. If annuity rates are low, then purchase an annuity later or at an older age when rates are arguably more attractive. And yes, annuities do lack flexibility. I can't argue that. Once you've purchased an annuity, the decision is usually irreversible. But to the extent that you've secured the outcome that you want, well, that's its very beauty. Retirement should be about enjoying life, not constantly worrying about financial markets or portfolio management. In the words of the Nobel laureate, William F. Sharp, drawing down income in retirement is the nastiest, hardest problem in finance. The choice is clear: certainty over speculation, stability over risk, and security over stress. I urge you to vote in favour of this counter motion because a guaranteed future is always better than an uncertain one. And in my kids' words, hashtag, annuities are forever. Thank you very much.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you both. We can get a vote. So I want to thank our speakers, but I just want to summarize the arguments if I can. Are you voting for modern, flexible, adaptable Netflix? Or are you voting for financial security, certainty, stability? How are you going to vote? Let's see. It looks like the 4s take it. Congratulations, Anthony. Amazing. Huge thank you. So I ask people to do this slot, and then I tell them after they agree that I would never do that slot. So huge thank you to Anthony Corty from Clifton Asset Management and to Emma Watkins from Scottish Widows. Thank you so much. Absolutely brilliant. And I think, as every year, the conclusion is always both, right? And I think Anthony cleverly embraced that, both as being part of the income drawdown argument. But when we did, in work we did for BNY last year on retirement advice, when we asked advisors if they were recommending annuities, the top reason was for clients who have a very low risk tolerance, and the second was to be part of a portfolio alongside investments to deliver that guaranteed income. So thank you both. It's fantastic to focus the mind and take a view, even if the response is always both. Thank you very much.